What's up, guys? It's Techno Viking 23 coming to you today with kind of an interesting video. Today we're going to be talking about the Wuhan coronavirus of 2020, this outbreak that's going on in China right now, and kind of want to talk about whether or not I'm concerned about what this looks like in terms of like a world thing, if this is something we're going to have to be worried about here in the United States. And some of the impacts it's having right now, even on the gaming world, which is pretty interesting. There's this cool ArcGIS, Global Information Systems map that somebody at Johns Hopkins put together, showing the current state of the outbreak and all the countries it's affected. It's kind of updated every hour or so, and I'll put a link to it down in the description so you guys can check it out if you want. It shows the current amount of people that have caught the virus and the amount of deaths so far that have resulted from that. Now, almost 5,000 people have caught the virus, most of them in China. There are, I believe, 6 cases in the United States right now, a couple in Los Angeles, one in Arizona, one in Chicago, and I think one in Washington. And they were watching some in Virginia as well. I know there's some cases in Toronto. Some just popped up in Europe, in Germany, and Paris. And it's starting to spread pretty much all across the globe. Just there's not that many cases in some of these areas, but it's definitely something worth watching. Now, a lot of people are kind of underselling what's going on right now, talking about how this, the flu kills more people and there's no reason to really be concerned with this. It's not really an outbreak. I don't know if that's a view I'd be taking right now, but I also would not be taking like a super alarmist view of, wow, this is going to be like a worldwide pandemic that kills like the entire population of the United States or the world or whatever. But I think it does bear watching. And the reason I'm kind of concerned about this is this outbreak just started on the 20th of January, which is only a couple days ago. And the death toll was like 6 last week, and now it's already up to 107. The mortality rate is right around 3% for this virus. Which is not really a big number when you think about it, but it's still very early on. And to see it, the cases spike up to 5,000 already within the first week almost. It's definitely spreading pretty quickly, and they've discovered some unique things about this virus. One is that you basically don't show any symptoms that you have it for about 2 weeks. The incubation period is between a week and 2 weeks, they said. And coronavirus, I guess, from what I've read, is basically just like getting a very bad case of pneumonia. Most of the people that have been dying have been much older, like in their 60s. So it's not something that's been really affecting younger population. If you have a stronger immune system, you're going to be a little bit more resilient to it. That doesn't necessarily mean you won't get it, but so far it seems most of the victims have been much older part of the population. But the 2-week incubation period thing is kind of scary because the quarantine has not been very effective in China. They just really started cracking down on things late last week when they realized this was a much bigger problem than they initially thought. Of course, the Chinese government was kind of like, oh, it's not a big deal, we've got it under control. But China is a massive country with a huge population, and trying to quarantine that many people and keep them from traveling is going to be really difficult for them. Not to mention the case in Chicago, I believe the woman had come from Wuhan, and she actually had been back for almost a week. She didn't really start feeling symptoms until she'd been home for 4 days already, and she went to the doctor. That means she could have passed it on to anybody on the airplane, anybody she rode the bus home with from the airport, anybody she went to work with that week. Because like I said, they said there's a period of time where you really just don't even know you have it till it's probably too late. And who knows how many people it's spread to already. So considering the virus, the outbreak is only about a week old, we're not going to really start seeing the true numbers of this pop up, I think, for at least another week or two. And in that case, we'll be able to kind of tell just how bad it's going to be. Personally, I know we have samples of the virus here in Atlanta. I live just outside of Atlanta, but the CDC is right in the middle of downtown. They've got their huge virus vault, and of course they're studying this right now to see exactly what's going to happen with it and hopefully try to come up with a vaccine. 'Cause that's really the big scary thing about these viruses is there's no known cure or vaccine for them yet, and they really don't know what it's going to do. It could mutate, it could pick up another strain, it could adapt. Right now, they're saying it can be passed of human-to-human contact and by coughing and things like that. So these things can always adapt and get stronger and resist antibiotics and all the other different medicines we have. So that's kind of one of the big fears with this. So right now I'm not super worried about it. I am monitoring it, but it's kind of interesting to watch all of this unfold. And it's also interesting to see the impact this is having on some of the people in the gaming world, especially the Overwatch League, which is something I paid quite a bit of attention to. There were supposed to be several Chinese team homestands in February when the league opened up, and there is just no way on earth they're going to be able to do it now. China is under a huge quarantine. They've just initiated all these lockdowns in the past couple of days where they're not letting anyone travel anywhere. They're not letting anybody leave the country. They're not letting any events take place. Most of the schools are out. There's a lot of things that are closed. If you're in North America on one of the teams, you're probably not going to want to travel to China to participate in anything for fear you might catch the virus. And if you're anybody on one of the Chinese teams that's maybe already over there practicing, you're probably not going to be able to leave the country in order to go play anywhere else. So it's going to be very interesting to see what kind of impact this has on things like the Overwatch League. Now, Blizzard has not come out and said anything yet about whether or not they're going to be canceling any of the Overwatch League homestands in China, but I don't see where they would have any other choice at this point. And to me, it's a little irresponsible for them to not have come out and said something at this point. They need to kind of go ahead and, I guess, set the ground rules and let people know what's actually going on with that. But I can't see in any world where they actually allow those games to take place right now with what's going on in China, where the majority of the virus cases are 4,400 of the cases are in actual China out of the total. So that's where the epicenter is right now. That's where the things are going pretty badly. That having been said, I said, I'm not super concerned about it. I'm going to be watching it. I am taking some steps, though, to kind of protect myself. I think you have to be aware. I'm just not really going around people other than the people at work. I actually have a gym at the house, so I don't have to go to the actual gym where there's a lot of people running around. And I know it sounds kind of crazy right now, especially since we're in the initial stages, but I live in Atlanta, where obviously we have the virus at the CDC, and Atlanta is one of the largest airports in the world. They're rerouting a lot of the flights from China through the Atlanta airport so they can try to screen people for this virus and try to find out if anyone has it. So there's a very good chance that we'll start to see some cases of this virus popping up in the city of Atlanta, here in Georgia, at some point within the next month or so. I would not be surprised at all. And also, if we don't see any blowing up a little bit around the Los Angeles area and also in Chicago, since that's where the two main cases were, to start off with in the United States. But as of this moment, still the death toll is at 107. That kind of escalated very quickly. The first day it was like 6, then it went up to like 13, then it jumped all the way up to 35, then to 50, then to 80, then to 100. So it's been going up significantly by a pretty good number each day. And like I said, with the incubation period only being 2 weeks, it's going to be a while before we see the full effects of this. To kind of put this in perspective, though, a lot of people are talking about it's not as bad as the flu. In 2018, or I think it was 2018 was a record year for the flu. 80,000 people died in the United States alone from the flu, and really no one batted an eyelash at that. So it's kind of interesting to see people are getting really worked up over this, but at the same time, it's not really that bad yet, but it could definitely become much worse. Now, 80,000 people was kind of an outlier. That was the highest number of flu deaths in the country in like 30 years. So it's possible, anytime there's a real bad strain of the flu, something like that could happen. But this coronavirus certainly bears some watching in the next few weeks, mainly for world travel, also for some of the video game stuff going on with Overwatch League and other esports leagues that are playing in China right now. And just for yourself, personally, if you live in one of the major cities where they're routing these aircraft through to treat people and scam people, you definitely want to be vigilant and pay attention and see what's going on with this. Because if a couple people get this in your city, I know it could be kind of scary, but no need to panic right now. Just keep monitoring the situation and have a plan in place. Make sure if you think something might happen, you've got plenty of food at the house and some bottled water stored up. And I've been through plenty of natural disasters myself personally. I've been through 3 blizzards where we lost power for 3-4 weeks at a time, and been through a tornado, been through a hurricane. And at this point, I'm not going to say I'm a prepper, but I have a go bag. I have water stored up in the garage. I have plenty of non-perishable food to last for a couple weeks, if longer, if need be. So it's not something I'm real concerned with if I have to stay holed up in the house, if a lot of people start getting sick around work or the city. So Like I said, just something we're going to be vigilant with and keep an eye on. Personally, I'm not super worried about it right now, just keeping an eye on the situation. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Just wanted to briefly touch on this since it's a world issue right now that's also affecting a little bit of the video game world. Let me know what you guys think about this coronavirus outbreak that's going on right now. Is it affecting any of the areas near where you live, and what your thoughts are on it overall? As always, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys are having a great day, and I will see you again next time.